But I got invited to Hanksgiving. It's a party my friend throws every year where everyone dresses up as Tom Hanks. You knew that by the title. There's also pictures of Tom Hanks everywhere. This was the third annual one. Could not believe I was invited. It's kind of a pretty exclusive event, and everyone goes really full out, like 100% full out. Costumes were purchased for this event that will probably never be worn again. That is the true love of Tom Hanks. And then we all got together for a group photo. Tom Hanks, you're invited whenever. And then there were winners for the best dish and the best costumes. So, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Is there a worse thing than millennials getting together? Rob from Hewey Media, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks again for bringing me on.
No problem. That was mentally damaging for me. I felt like, first of all, why do these people not have families? I would probably get along with zero of those people. And it made me think maybe a bit darker how no matter who, and I'm going to go ahead and assume these are left-wing people, no matter who they choose to celebrate, it's okay so long as they're left-wing. There are so many conspiracies about Tom Hanks not to get demonetized immediately. But Tom Hanks, that he produced Chet Hanks. Are you familiar with Chet?
Didn't he have like an Illuminati tattoo like on his chest or something like that? And then now he apparently like found Christ or something. That's the last I don't really follow him too closely, but
Chet Hanks is, I believe he's anti-vax, he's anti-government. He was pro-vax very early on and then became anti-everything, I think, what happened. And it's very funny, I think, because the other Hanks son, Colin Hanks, is just like another mainstream but less successful actor. So, I don't know. Chet Hanks is, he's breaking the mold. He also speaks in like Jamaican, like patois speak all the time, which is really interesting. So I suggest you look some of that up, my friend.
yeah, I'll have to look into it. I just, any of these celebrity people, I don't really keep up with a lot of them.
But I wouldn't even call him a celebrity at this point. He's a meme.
I see him.
He's just out of this world. Thanks everybody for watching on unauthorizedopinions.com, YouTube, Rumble. As I look at the links, we're on, of course, Getter. I think Getter messes up a lot. Twitch, and anybody listening on the audio. Of course, Spotify is our biggest platform that we have for audio, but we are also on Google, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Shout out to any boomers on iHeart. Rob, I don't know if you heard about this. I haven't watched this yet, but apparently Doctor Who, I've never seen the show, but Doctor Who had an episode where they had an alien, I guess. Very reminiscent of X-Files for me, I think. When you're just showing aliens. And the Doctor Who is scolded by a transgender character for calling an alien him and assuming his pronouns. And this to me was wild. I want to see the video, and I'm holding out for great expectations here. Furry, what should it be? Should we be surprised for England? Really?
No, I don't think anyone should be surprised at this point. I mean, at this point, I'm just convinced that they do this to like get like a stir out of people, and even liberals, like even these liberal politicians that pretend to be, all for this whacked language, like even Joe Biden and Gavin Newsom, all these people. Do you really think that they like agree with that? Like calling people they or asking for pronouns? Because I don't think they do. I think that it's part of the agenda just to like get people, fighting over stupid, irrelevant shit that distracts when the real shit's happening behind the scenes. Well, not even really behind the scenes anymore. It's in front of our faces, and both parties are partaking in that. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I think what we need to notice, though, I don't know how often you go back into old media and just see how it was actually an agenda being pushed. I think England particularly, and I don't say this without any experiences. My girlfriend used to watch, like Coronation Street and all these British soap operas. And then it was revealed that the government was giving notes on the script during the lockdowns about, certain people promoting vaccines and everything. And what I didn't even realize is that this person that they had in this episode is a transgender person. They do a
Wait,
good job of,
that's a trans person?
that's a guy.
So that's a
And that's what,
dude?
yeah. And they do a good
Damn.
job of hiding there. I think
Well,
this
actually,
photo.
now that you look at it like that, now that you like tell me that, now I see it. But damn, yeah, the trannies are getting good at hiding. They're
I think
getting
you can
this.
tell better in this image.
Yeah, you can,
other-
but it's still like I've seen like I guess manlier looking trannies. So it's like so I would say for a tranny that's like, pretty decently deceiving. Like I would not immediately tell like, oh, that's a dude, like right up front. Like I would probably have to have a conversation with him.
With the voice. I feel like in England specifically, they have to do this. I get my TV. I get all these English channels too, right? I get American English, and it's really weird. And I've pointed this out before. It's really weird how you can point out the differences in the types of people they use in commercials and the types of commercials. In America, which I'm sure you notice, and I definitely noticed as a non-American that it's a lot of pharmaceutical commercials.
Oh.
It's like car insurance and pharmaceutical commercials.
That's all we do over here. It's pathetic.
And fast food as well. Fast food places that I don't have that I'm jealous of. But then you hop over to English channels, and everything is either sports gambling or lesbians and transgender people, and everything's just like there's a different push over there. Where over here, buy this thing that'll help your hair from stopping falling out, but also might give you cancer and 16 other things. But there, it's here's a beauty product, and there's going to be 6 transgender people and 2 lesbians in it, with a big disclaimer that this might not actually work at the bottom. and then other than that, keep gambling, please.
Yeah.
But also make sure you limit your gambling. So it's very interesting what England pushes, and through all of their things, it's you cannot be mean no matter what the person says. We can have this girl on the TV and she's the greatest athlete of all time, and you can't say anything mean about that. And I guess even when it comes to Doctor Who, you can't even, aliens' feelings matter too. And they're furries, and it's said by a transgender person, and they just have to attack anything that can be English. And I think Doctor Who is pretty synonymous with being an English character. It'd be like if Sherlock Holmes was a woman. I'm sure that's happened already, if I had to guess. Do you know if that's true or not?
Again, nothing would surprise me.
Sherlock.
We're in an age where, I mean, anyone is whatever they want to be. So
whatever you want to be. The Lady Sherlock series. Okay, I immediately found that. Charlotte Holmes investigates crimes in Victoria era London. A best-selling USA Today best-selling book. That's good. Lady Sherlock, you guys, and they made her American, I guess. Sticking with, I guess the Transformers, as some people like to call them. I'm glad we're not in England, or else we'd probably be arrested for this. Shout out Tommy Robinson getting arrested today. Did you see that? You know who that is?
No, I haven't.
Tommy Robinson is a guy who was an early adopter of the fighting against Islamic immigration in the United Kingdom, and of course, hate speech laws took him down pretty quickly, and he's been arrested. He was in jail, solitary confinement, that whole sort of thing, and they arrested him today at a protest for his own safety. One of those English things.
For his safety.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think this next video, which I watched a bit of and I haven't watched it all of yet, but this next video, I think this is a girl becoming a guy, judging by the mustache. And because usually the guys who are becoming girls don't want the mustache, or maybe they do. I don't know. I'm confused. It's something. But I think this was the natural culmination of the left-wing progressivism. And you tell me if I'm wrong, because this is a transgender person who is discovering the Quran. Because, the leftist push is, of course, keep going until you find the most marginalized person. And right now we're seeing that, Israel's somehow the most marginalized group, while Palestine is also simultaneously the most marginalized group, depending on which side you're on. And then I think the general push to the very end here is the idea that, a Muslim immigrant would be one of the most marginalized groups. So you have that in Minnesota where like the Democrats and Islam are neck and neck for, seeing who's the most oppressed or whatever. But I think when you get to this logical endpoint of left wing communism and radical religious fanaticism, you get to the point where these two these two ideas intersect, and it's very interesting to see how one of these people interprets this. And let's take a look.
The Quran, and I am so excited about it. People thought when I first asked that I just wanted to read it out of curiosity, but I want to read it to study it. I started following somebody on social media that teaches the Quran and hosts a Quran book club for Muslims and non-Muslims, so I'm really excited to start going to that. She was describing the chapter of the bee, and that just blew my mind. Like, the way that she describes things, the way that the Quran describes things actually makes sense to me. And also, did you know that Allah is beyond gender? Did you know that actually scholars believe that there are two Qurans, the Quran of nature and the Quran, the actual book? And did you know that each chapter is named after a natural phenomenon? I don't know, this whole book is just blowing my mind, and I am so excited. I got sticky notes so that I could mark out things that I was drawn to, and I'm not even through the first chapter, and I already have a bunch of sticky notes. I'm definitely gonna have to buy more tabs. I'm honestly having a whole revolution with myself where the way that I describe the universe and the things that I believe in are actually described in the Quran of believing in Allah. And I've never thought that I believed in God before, and now I'm really having a revolution of self of, I think I actually believe in God. If you've been curious, I really recommend it. There are a lot of people who are converting. There's a lot of people who are reading it.
Many.
I'm not saying I'm going to convert. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. And I don't know. I know that this is exactly what I need right now. I just wanted to say thank you and just point out how excited I am. Just started reading the Quran.
So if this was like a satirical joke, I'd be saying well done. First of all, who does a book review a chapter in? That's really strange. Well, where do you think this goes? Do you think this person gets a few more chapters in and sees what it's about? Or like, do you think that this becomes one of these things where they start, getting to be like, this is fine. We'll excuse all the stuff in Islam and somehow pervert it to be pro-trans or something?
Yeah, I think people will interpret it the way that they want to interpret it, just like most, I feel like most people do that. They just they'll find some vague thing in the Quran that, and then they'll twist it like, oh, that he supported trans people, and they'll run with that and call you a bigot if you say otherwise.
This has already come to a head up here when they were doing, because there's a lot of Muslims here now, and they protested against the transing of kids, let's call it, in the schools. One particular school district was saying, we're not going to give any pronouns at all anymore. Every kid is going to be a they, just to be safe. And surprise, surprise, the Muslim community, the Muslim parents and families didn't like that. This has happened in England, and this is where I really think the crossroads hit ahead between leftism and mass migration. Whereas when you bring in people from a world, a worldview that is probably is the most homophobic religion, if you can call it a fear of it, whatever, you'll find several countries where being gay is illegal. The harsher ones, throwing off of roofs, public executions. The less harsh ones, a public caning or lashing, for example, just like you would do for an adulterer. Maybe not quite a stoning for an adulterer or a familial sacrifice. What do they call it? An honor killing. That's the word I was looking for. But eventually, these two ideas, the enemy of my enemy situation, eventually these two collide, and I'm very, very certain that the idea of Islam will win over the guy with a mustache who talks like a girl with a septum piercing. I'm fairly certain 99.9 times out of 100 run through a computer program that Islam wins that one, and everybody on the other side starts learning, maybe I was being a little bit too tolerant. It's like, what are they willing to be tolerant for? and it's anybody they deem to be lesser than them. That's really what leftism is anyone who I think is lesser than me. That's fine. We need to help them. They can't really help themselves. The old video where people at Berkeley say that black people don't know how to use the internet or get a driver's license. Any person that a hardcore left-wing
But that's
progressive,
not, when they say that, that's not racist at all. That's just
exactly
loving.
right.
But when you say the truth, then it's racist. It's just
They want to help anyone they deem to be lesser than them, and then they will be tolerant of anything like that, just like they are tolerant of these poor Muslim, in their words, these poor Muslim immigrants who are just being, I guess, oppressed, until it gets to the point where they disagree with them. And it's going to have some sort of, strict disagreement, because we see the Gays for Palestine thing popping up at these new protests. And that's just, I guess I would say pick up a book where this person's a chapter in and they haven't got to the rape and pillage parts of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, it's just, people have to pick a side. Like they immediately up which side is the more like noble side to support. But it's just, to me, it's just with any war or any, any situation, there's good and bad really on both sides. And again, I don't know what your thoughts are about this whole thing, but I'm actually happy that I'm Jewish, so I'm not called anti-Semitic when I say this. But I think that the Israeli government is in on a lot of the shit that's going on right now. And if I wasn't Jewish, people would say, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic. You must be against Jews." No, I'm not against anyone. I'm just, there's so many things with that Iron Dome just completely shutting off. They had intel for a while, and they just allowed that to happen with paragliders. Like, I don't know, that the whole thing to me seemed very shady. And then I saw some old clips about the Hamas and how Israel actually funded Hamas. But if you bring that up, then you're anti-Semitic and you support Hamas bombing Israeli kids. But it's okay when Israel does that to Palestinian kids, because Israel is God's people. Like that's what a lot of people on the right say. Well, Israel's God's people, so it's okay. But does God not stand for innocent people that are Palestine too? Like, I feel like I don't know. I just feel like there's good and evil on both sides. There's cool Jews, there's loser Jews, there's cool Palestinians, there's loser Palestinians. That's just the way that I look at life. Like, there's cool people and losers on all sides.
Chads and Stacys.
But the government, like, you just look at that event, and that just, anyone that is aware of a false flag psyop, that what happened with the Iron Dome, that screams psyop. I'm sure you could even pull up a clip of Charlie Kirk saying the same thing that I'm saying, but when he says it, it's okay. And I guess since Turning Point and all them since he's involved with that, like, they're not going to call him out on it. I don't know. It's just it's so crazy, the double standard, how some people are allowed to question it and then some people aren't. I mean, I think he backtracked after, because Ben Shapiro, Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro was like lashing out, calling it.
Is it this one?
Exactly. Yeah. But Ben Shapiro just calls anyone anti-Semitic that questions anything. Did you see the thing on Candace Owens? By the way,
I saw a bit of the Candace Owens. Well, first, if I could write it down, I would. Let's get to that in a second. I just want to say, first of all, we have to kick you off for being Jewish and pro-Palestine. Those are two reasons we're kicking you off. I'm just kidding.
No, I know, but I'm not pro anything. Like, I'm not pro or anti anything. I'm just,
Rob's subdued into black pilledness. And we know that about
I'm
you.
not even black pill. Like, I just think that's the truth. The PSYOP government does some shady shit. They've been doing it for centuries. I mean, the false flags, that's one of the oldest tricks in the book. They do shit to their own people. They sacrifice their own people to justify going in gaining something elsewhere. And that wouldn't be the first time that they've done this.
The way I see a lot of this stuff is, first of all, the way we dropped Ukraine right away. Now, I was one of the, I will say, most early adopters of, Ukraine sucks. Not
Yeah.
pro-Russia. Russia sucks in many ways too.
Yeah.
They like hockey, which is good for me. But very early on, I was like, how can you not realize that Ukraine is a situation where we're going to pump money into it? They've been playing this for years. Lindsey Graham and I forget who else, if it was Mitt Romney, I think. Lindsey Graham and somebody else went over there 2014, said we're going to fund you to the end of the earth. And they continue to fund this. Zelensky's, a very weird guy. Terrible requests that he makes, and he's got all these weird BDSM
if you don't fully
acting.
Support him, you're a Putin sympathizer. If you don't
Exactly.
drop everything and throw all your money at Zelensky,
and you may or may not be surprised of how much the conservative government in Canada is zero questioning of Ukraine whatsoever. They're still Ukraine flags to this day in bios, and so that gets dropped immediately. And Zelensky's pissed. His checks stop coming once the new Speaker of the House comes in. And then he's like, what about me, you guys? And then the Speaker of the House immediately says, we need to support Israel. That's where my red flags, if you will, start going off, is hey, we were just talking about the border and how much that sucks. We're just talking about how we need to stop the funding for Ukraine. January 6th footage. Matt Gaetz is talking about all this stuff, and I like Matt Gaetz a lot. And I'm sure he'll disappoint me one day. And he probably has in some way that I am not remembering. But as of right now, I like the things that he's pushing with a couple other people. And then as soon as that starts happening, we're like, oh, okay, we need to focus on another war. Now, I'm not completely, unlearned. What's the word I'm looking for? It's starting to sound like George Bush. There's internets, I'm not completely oblivious to the history of Ukraine or of Israel and Palestine, right? Dating back to when it was owned by the British and the introduction of it being considered a state and Israel becoming a state and how it was, under Roman control, how it's one of these things of how far back do we have to go before, it's our land. The same problem with, Native American sort of thing. But I'm not willing to dig deep. I'm not willing to go into the intricacies of how many militants were hiding behind this shelter or this hospital when they were bombed. How much of it did Israel know when they bombed it? I'm not willing to do this. Why? Because we are in war 17 of that. Ukraine, Russia, Syrian war, the Afghan war, Operation Iraqi Freedom for the Patriots. We are 90x times deep into fund this war, please, because these are good guys and these are bad guys. I fully understand that you need to have a certain amount of military strength in a region in the Middle East to keep things, from going completely awry. Just like they have ships next to Korea, the Americans do. So I'm not going to say that there can be no global presence of America. But if you want me to care about War X and War Z, not the zombie war, but War Z, then you're going to have to start showing me that you care about the American people, about what you do with their tax dollars. I'm not going to just start picking up and being like, this is the most important war. Now, I get that there's
there's a lot of people doing that on the right now. Like everything
there sure is
made fun of for the liberals talking about Ukraine. Now they're doing the same thing with Israel.
Yes.
Like it's literally the same thing. They're like, well, no, it's different. It's different. This is God's people. Yeah.
100%.
Because God just loves you. You could be the biggest loser as long as you're from Israel. God loves you. If you're from Palestine, you could be the greatest person, but God doesn't care about you because you're from Palestine.
We need a disclaimer on the bottom of the screen that Rob is Jewish, so he's allowed to say this thing. Disclaimer. Just have a sign behind you.
But and I'm not saying this like people think, oh, he must be like pro-Muslim and anti-Jew and he must hate his. No, I don't hate anyone. I don't love I love individuals. If you're a cool individual that doesn't play victim, you're cool in my book. I don't care if you're from Israel, Palestine, whatever. It just don't be a victim loser. Don't be biased, and don't I hate the double standards, and the hypocrisy on both sides. It's like again, they'll call out the Ukraine stuff, but then with Israel, it's like, oh, it's different now. Now it's okay for politicians to sell out to Israel and be bought out by AIPAC, like, and take Israel out of the picture. Well,
What's AIPAC?
It's the Jewish Israel lobby that controls
Okay.
pretty much all politicians. And if you talk about it, you're anti-Semitic. It's just, they play the same games. It's the same tricks that they always play. And it does it, like, I don't know how it continues to work. It's crazy how people let this language control people. And it just like, again, take Israel out of the picture, replace Israel with any other country, replace Israel with Zimbabwe. I don't give a shit. Replace it with anywhere else. And like you mentioned before, we have so many problems in our own country. It's like, why are we really going to support Israel? And it's like, oh, because Hamas are bad. It's like, again, look at who funds Hamas. Like, America and Israel have directly funded Hamas. This is another, I mean, call it what you want to call it, but this checks off all the flags of another false flag psyop. But if you say that, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy theorist looking 1776.
It sounds just like
it's true. Thank you. When Joe Biden announced an aid package for Israel, he also gave several $100 million, or wanted to Palestine. So that's very strange. They say it's going to aid, of course, but I wrote an article recently that says they don't know actually where it's going in Afghanistan, which is supposed to be under control, let alone, where it goes in Palestine, and the Hamas leader lives in another country. I understand that, we have a thing called allies, and you need to give allies support, but it comes down to me to one, Palestine, they elected Hamas, they decided to leave, but they believe in the Hamas government who says kill all Jews, right? And then I watch these debates on Piers Morgan. They're absolutely hilarious. When Piers Morgan tried to have an Israel v. Palestine debate, and it always boils down to, you're killing us, you're killing our children, no, you're killing our children. And then nobody wants to say the actual reason why, Palestine wants to do this or Israel wants to do that. It's because they're mortal enemies in a lot of the cases. When they say we don't want to kill anyone who's innocent, that could be tekiah and justified by saying, we don't actually believe any of the Israelis are innocent. That's been said publicly many times, and the other way around. So it's hilarious to watch Piers Morgan try to debate that. But the grand scheme, which you touched on, is that whether you want me to care about a Yemeni conflict, or you want me to care about, like you said, Zimbabwe is an interesting country to name. Maybe I'll name Laos or something, or Vietnam. If you want me to care about these wars, and you want me to say it's okay for money to be sent over there, in Ukraine's case, billions upon billions. Israel, billions over many years. If you want me to say that it's okay, then show me that you're willing to spend that money in America. Like, think about all the things that a right winger might not believe in. Free healthcare. And this isn't from a logical sense. Not believe in makes it sound like it's got no reasoning. But logically, healthcare, loan forgiveness, free college, that sort of stuff. And I don't think those things work properly. Specifically, free college. I don't think that works at all. But if you're going to tell me you've got hundreds of billions of dollars for Ukraine to fight that war, even though I don't believe for a second they'd go past Ukraine, what they would have already taken. Maybe over time, that's what Russia does. But if you're going to tell me you have that much money, then you could afford healthcare 10 times over. You could afford free college 5 times over. Gavin Newsom could have cleaned up the streets we saw if anytime he wanted to. Yep. You could close up the border. You could have 10,000 more border guards. You could build 6 walls. You could do any of these things. You could just send out checks that aren't new money. Like, you wouldn't have to add tax or anything. You could just send out stimulus checks all over the place. But they don't do that. And for some reason, they say, hey, we can't, this is difficult. We can't agree to any of this. But once we start Sam Bankman-Frieding everything, and we send money to places where we don't know what's happening to it, and it's getting invested in who knows where and being put in whose hands we don't know, then it's all fine. There's so much shadiness going on. And the Biden stuff, and I got to be careful here, of course, but the Biden stuff that gets revealed that only is not supposed to be bad because he wasn't vice president at the time. It's just, money gets sent over, and depending on who's in charge, it depends on where it goes and what gets done with it. And I can say this now because Sam Bankman-Fried has been convicted as guilty, that in one of the instances they accused him of trying to free up money in China with the names of Thai prostitutes. This was an accusation by his ex-girlfriend. They said China was holding their money, $1 billion or something in crypto, because who knows why, and they were trying to free it up using the bank accounts they opened up with the names of Thai prostitutes. No, if you are sending this money overseas, not only do you not actually know what's going to happen to it, you cannot control it unless you're playing ball. As soon as Sam Bankman-Fried becomes under the spotlight, then all this money goes away and nobody knows what happened to it. Tom Brady, God bless him, got $50 million. Steph Curry, not God bless him. I don't like what he does. Got all this money. All these people got all this money. And as soon as we find out where it actually went, then everybody's like, I don't know what happened to it. That was a mistake. We need to pin it on this guy. Until we start pinning these things on people, and like you said, these super PACs or these lobbies get exposed, Lindsey Graham all of a sudden says we don't need to send money to Ukraine until we fix the border. I get the feeling, allegedly, hearsay, Your Honor, not provable in court, I get the feeling that he's like, all right, we've got enough of that. We got enough out of that, so we can move on now.
On to the next money laundering machine.
Yeah,
Dude,
so I don't have...
They're all puppets, man. Like, it's like, that's why I stopped, I guess. I used to, back when I, was more of a Trump supporter, I used to, argue with people over, just why Trump is way better than the other guy, which I still believe, I mean, I would still take him over, Biden, obviously. But I really feel like they're all in on, I can't prove this, but when it comes to the key agendas, they're all pushing the same shit. Trump sells out to Israel. DeSantis sells out to Israel. Biden sells out to Israel. And it's just again, we have our own problems. Why are we allowing any country, take Israel out of the picture, but any country to lobby our politicians? Every single person should be, we have our own freaking problems here. It's if you're in human terms, if you have a bunch of issues, why are you out helping other people when your life's screwed up? You know what I mean? It's you got to fix your own shit before you help other people. But these politicians, a lot of them literally have dual loyalty to here in Israel, and they're okay with selling us out for the sake of their own money. It's so corrupt, and that's what pisses me off. And it's both sides, but we're fighting over which side is less corrupt, which politician is less corrupt. But it's they're all fucking corrupt. It's like fighting over a 400-pound girl and a 300-pound girl. It's they're both fat. They're both fat. Why are you I'd rather just go to someone that's not fat. I don't know. That's just the way that I look at these fucking politicians.
Anyone who knows me personally would say that's the way to make me understand something. Can you compare it? Can you relate that to me in the terms of fat chicks, please? That's how I'll really understand it. Fat chicks or football.
That's how I look at it, dude. It's like we're fighting over which politician's hotter. It's well, who would you rather bang, the 450-pound lady or the 380-pound lady? It's they're both freaking obese. Let's find someone that's not obese. I'm not going to waste my breath fighting over these puppets, dude.
I love when they zoom in on DeSantis' face in those debates. It's like he doesn't know how to smile. Rest in peace, Chandler, who didn't know how to smile in one episode of Friends. I don't know. There's and I just want to show what's going on at the border still and show a little bit of the statistics for people who don't know, because this is a video I came across where there's a Splash Mountain, a Disney World sized lineup at the border here. Splash Mountain is an hour and a half wait, by the way, if you guys aren't familiar. for a 15-minute ride. It's a good ride, Rob. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, what is this again?
Oh, this is the border, not Splash Mountain. I was saying that it's like the size of Splash
Oh,
Mountain.
I was gonna say that doesn't look like a freaking amusement park there.
You can see the cactus.
Jeez.
This
But again,
is...
they could fix this tomorrow if they wanted to. Both sides.
Oh, yeah.
No, but that's where the tinfoil hat in me comes out. It's like, this is intentional. This is not an accident that this shit's open, and that's where the next psyop's gonna be. Like they're saving the border issue for when it's convenient to roll in the next psyop.
Yeah, and something I've noticed about, and this is just panning back and forth, and then I'll get to the actual border numbers. Boston, New York City, Chicago, Toronto, Canada, they're all doing this thing where they have, Governor Abbott and DeSantis somewhat sending all these migrants to these cities, right? First of all, just close the border. That's obvious thing number one. But we move on to that. Oh, you guys don't like these people? We don't like them coming into your city? And then there's like, okay, we're accepting all of them. And then the next phase is like, we're running out of space, you guys. We need money. Then the next phase is, we're out of space, you guys. Won't anybody else take them? Because we're not getting any more money. And then finally, it's, we've done a great job taking care of them. This is what Eric Adams said. This is what the mayor of Toronto says. We do a great job sheltering our migrants. We give them programs to find work and food, and our program works great, but we need federal assistance. So never at one point do they say send them home. Never do they say change the immigration rules. The only thing they ever say is give them work permits so they can, skip the entire immigration process, or we need federal money. And I see people who are, I would call them moderates, pushing this thing where it's like, it's because Eric Adams said stuff about the illegals. He said that he doesn't agree with illegal immigration. That's why they're finding out problems with his fundraising, and that he allegedly had some sexual misconduct or whatever. No, I think that's just because he hired a 25-year-old for his fundraising who took a bunch of money from Turkey allegedly. But you never hear these people say we don't want to be a sanctuary city and send people back to their own country because they came here illegally. They just want more money. New York's happy to take more money, and they're happy to have these employees in California and other liberal states because they can pay them much less because they work illegally, and they have the dangling carrot of deportation at any single given moment. I don't like this whole thing where it's like, oh, okay, we can let them in, but let's bus them everywhere. It's so like weak and tired and placating, where it's like the Republicans say, let's bust them somewhere. Aren't we cool guys when we could just close the border anyways? And then we're going to give Eric Adams this pass like he's some conspiracy theorist who's being attacked by the government when he's the mayor of New York City. And he could easily say, no, New York is no longer a sanctuary city. Anything that they will never, ever go back on any policy position that they've made. And I've been saying this for 6 years now, because as soon as that one's out of the question, what else are they wrong about? They will never admit fault on anything.
I agree. So my question to you is, if you were president of America, how would you fix the border? And like, what would you do about the immigration crisis? And two, do you think we should have a way for like immigrants to come in legally easier, or do you think we should make it, like, I guess, harder than it is right now?
Day one, and Trump, to his credit, said this biggest deportation operation ever in the United States. Sanctuary cities are illegal. You can't just say we allow people in the city to break this federal law. And, if it's a right-wing thing and some crazy left-wing law, I might, I'm not perfect. I might say, yeah, go ahead and disobey that. But as it stands, it's federally illegal. And I agree with the idea of it being illegal to break into a country. So you got to stop that. You got to actually build the wall where it was intended to be built. No excuses, which was, we can't get it passed even though we have the House and Congress at the time. There can't be any excuses. And, you need to get more border guards. You need to actually seal up these things. And there needs to be actual penalties. I don't agree with this whole you get caught coming to the border, we interview you, go ahead and you have a trial coming up in 6 weeks. No, it's you get turned around immediately. Goodbye. No trial, no anything. You're sneaking over the border. Unless there's children involved, anybody without a child immediately sent back. Children, you can try to figure out if they're hurt, if people are trafficking you, stuff like that. Of course, there's precisions. I don't want to speak too absolutely, but you got to do these things, and you can't do this in any other country. You can't even do this in Canada. You can come to the border and say, I'm claiming refugee status or asylum, and they'll take your bag for you and everything. But you can't literally just walk across the border and be allowed to come in. It's not that simple in any other country but the United States for some reason. And should we make it easier for people to come in? No, I don't think so. The reason why it takes so long, to my understanding, is because there's such a backlog and because they want to properly vet people. And that's a good thing, whether they do a good job of it or not. It's a good thing to take time to properly vet people. That's why the United States is good, and that's why people want to come there. So I don't think you should make it easier. In fact, I think you should drastically decrease the amount of immigration you get, because you already get so much illegal anyways. And the way people get workers that they might need, let's say South Korea has a bunch of people who can do one job specifically well, and they have a lot of those people as opposed to America, which is lacking. These companies will find a way, believe it or not, to get cheaper workers or to get people in that they don't have to pay for health insurance and pensions for. I think you need to drastically decrease immigration, and especially up here where it's 500,000 people a year with 10 times less people than the United States. I think we'll be all right for a while. And I'm not saying this for particular countries of people. America gets certain types of people from different countries. Canada gets certain types of other people from different types of countries. There should be an ideological test. Yes, you can lie on it, but there are certain things that people aren't willing to lie about, or they won't know to lie about. So drastically reduce the numbers. I'm willing to go as low as 10% of what we already have. In Canada, even lower. I think we'll be all right for a while. And I think we need to test the old argument where people say, we need people because of the declining population, because there's jobs other people don't want to do. I think we need to test that for about at least 5 years. That's my position. President Rob, over to you. What would you do?
Yeah, I like it for the most part. So me, if I were president, I actually think that this could win over both sides. So this is what I would say. Well, first of all, you need a border. You need to continue to be a successful country. You need a border. But what I would try to pitch both sides on. So what a lot of, I guess, Republicans don't realize, but seem to overlook, is that a lot of people that come here from other countries, they're escaping a bad situation, and a lot of them, they just want to work. They don't. They love America more than most liberals love America, and they're willing to work. They're not willing to just leech off the system. So what I would propose is, one, strong border, but two, I would pitch the college system. So right now, if I were to go to insert college, so let's say if I were to go to Texas for college, and I'm in Pennsylvania, so I would have to pay out of state tuition, where if someone from Texas went to Texas, it would be much cheaper for them. So I would pitch that to the government. I would say, how about we just tax the shit out of the illegals, so we make them come here legally, obviously do background checks and everything, make sure they're not going to commit crimes. Again, secure the border, that's top priority. But once we do the background check, and they want to be here because most of the time they're fleeing a place that they, isn't the best financial situation, etc., or bad government, we're here, we could raise their taxes. So we're getting, instead of illegals not paying anything into the system, we would now get increased taxes. And they would agree on it, because even with the increased taxes that they're paying, it's still a better life than what they would be living elsewhere. And I think that could lower our taxes because now we're, there's more money being put into the system by illegals. So we could drop it from a little bit for Americans. And a lot of these people, again, would want to be here. They're hard workers and they wouldn't have to do things off the books and everything, which when they do things off the books, then they can do it like for lower prices and take our jobs. So they would be taking less of our jobs because they're on the books and everything and they're paying into the system. And I think that could be a win-win on both sides. So that's kind of my take on that. What do you think?
I think I'm fairly certain that exists, at least here. I'm not sure that doesn't exist in the United States. The international students pay way more. Now, you're talking about taxes and stuff too. But here, if your tuition's like 15 grand, an international student's going to be $25,000.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about taxes. I'm talking strictly about taxes.
So are you saying you want to give these people illegal citizenship or what?
No, I'm not saying all of them. I think there needs to be some. So, like I said, top priority, secure the wall, make sure there is a defined border. But then I think we should run background checks. Don't just let in any like idiot that just does it. I don't know how we would like measure that, but I'm sure you have some sort of IQ test, they need to have some sort of financial status. Like you need to have at least $10,000 to come here. Like you can't.
So you just basically want to raise the bar of like to make it like specialized immigration, essentially.
I guess so. Yeah, but people that aren't gonna make sure they're not criminals, have no criminal history, and people that contribute to the system. Because there's people in America that hate this country, and there's people outside of here that would die to come here legally. And I don't think none of them should get in just because they're not from here. I don't know. It's a complicated situation, but I do think that if we got a lot of their tax dollars, that could help our country out. If they're not only if we're getting their tax dollars, but if they're smart people that are willing to help and contribute to the country, why not give them a shot?
I think a lot of what you're talking about does exist, though, in the sense that if you're in a specialized field or you pay
right now,
you have a lot of income.
The borders are pathetic right now. So
they
don't even have to. They can get here illegally, and then they don't pay taxes, and then we pay a shit ton of taxes. They do our jobs for less. Where if we actually had a legal, a nice secure border, and we got them here legally, the competent people that wanted to be here that contributed to the system, then I feel like that would help both sides.
I think that happens. I think the problem is the illegal immigration. I think there's plenty of people who get in for specialized skills, and it is easier because they know if you have more money because they know you're going to be paying those taxes.
It's really hard though. Like it's like insanely. You have to. I think
you have to like prove.
Like you have to have like a shit ton of money, or like be like a athlete or like some like. It's very hard to get here legally today.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Accept me, everyone. Please accept me.
Yeah. So they all just do illegal bullshit. But like my thing is make it, stop the illegal shit, like which would be very easy to do. Well, like there's a reason they're not doing it. I would love to know the reason, but make it harder to get here illegally, and easier to get here legally. And I'm not saying like let everyone in. Obviously, no. You need to have some sort of system and some sort of put the foot down somewhere. But I do think that there's a lot of good people that could help this country elsewhere too. I don't know. It's a good debate though, but I just think their taxes would help ease ours a decent amount with the amount of illegals coming in.
Like, I wouldn't trust that they would just give us tax breaks, though.
No.
But you as president might.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why you should vote me for president. Philly. Actually, I don't think I'll be old enough in 20.
Philly City Council, maybe.
I don't think they would.
Chester
like me
County.
Much.
I don't know where you live.
They wouldn't like me very much. They'd call me a lot of names.
These are last numbers. I want everybody watching to see how insane the numbers actually are, and we're getting refreshed for some reason. Okay, so Biden broke the records for illegal immigration at the southern border both the last 2 years.
So how many people are coming in?
So 2022 was 2.7 million, 2023 was
Holy
3.2 million, and the first month of this fiscal year is 309,000, which is the second highest of all time, because 341 was the highest of all time for a month, and still it's still up there, the second highest of all time.
Jeez.
So you keep these numbers up, and he's going to break another record. Some fun ways to look at it is 22, 23. It's not that fun. 22, 23 is more than all of Trump's administration and all of Obama's 8 years of immigration.
Damn.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, imagine if we had a secure border and like a fraction of those people got in and had to pay taxes. And then any honest government, if you're putting this much into the system, then this much is no longer needed. And that could help out, give a tax break to the American people if our politicians were honest, which they're not. I'm just saying, like, in a perfect world, they could help out our tax situation and hopefully contribute and not commit crimes, like we do background checks and shit, and please both sides. I think that could, if done right, could be a good trade deal, as Donald Trump would say. Trade deal.
Patreon.com/UOPod is where you can find the every week's bonus podcast. I expect Rob to sign up immediately following this podcast. You can give $7 a month to help me become Joe Rogan with hair. You can pay $15 a month to help me become the Raptors superfan who can somehow afford to sit at every Raptors game courtside since they existed in 1995. Or you can be an unauthorized person and help contribute to the topics and videos that are created. You get bonus podcast every week. I post exclusive content for my streeter videos and exclusive reels, and you get stuff ahead of time.
The top one. So any topic of our choosing, we'd be able to. You'd have to go into depth.
Yes, I would. We'll do a commentary reaction video of at least 5 minutes for this one topic of your choosing. Wait, you think I can't talk about anything for 5 minutes?
I'm gonna do some like really messed up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get you to talk about like Pornhub on here. Some like analyze a porn video.
Think I'm afraid? I will get it transcripted.
Just get your whole thing. Get your whole thing banned for $40.
Or I need to add a caveat on that to within reason.
Yeah.
For sick individuals like you. I'm going to let you choose the last story. Well, we don't have to choose so much. Have you seen this movie? I watched it yesterday called Diverge.
I don't believe so.
2016 completely predicts everything about COVID. This guy, he works for a pharmaceutical company, and he comes up with the cure for a disease that started in China. That he comes up with a cure for it from a plant. He works for a pharmaceutical company, and then a second pharmaceutical company wants to hire him to help him design a vaccine against this virus, which they later finds out that they released and did not want to stop it from spreading so that they could make more money off of it. And they talk about how like the World Health Organization, had a summit about it, and they've got vaccine pharmaceutical company signs all over the city. And it's also got some time travel in there. So I felt it was the most accurate prediction of COVID, and not in the sense that it's like there's that Matt Damon one that's pretty much just being like, we're amazing. It's amazing how well we can, from the government's point of view, but this is not from the government's point of view. It's from a, greasy time traveler's point of view.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk. Go ahead.
I think my thoughts on
time travel.
The C word. I think it was all, that I don't think it was an accident. I don't think it came from bat soup. I mean, I think that it was planned. 100%.
The pandemic.
If I could bet on it, I would put my life savings that this shit was planned And it's not, I hate when people say like the China virus, because Trump says the China virus. No, American politicians were in on this too. And the people like Fauci, I mean, it's just Bill Gates, it wasn't
What
an
you
accident.
need, Rob, what you need is a set for a podcast where it's just like a bunker, and you need to release it. You need to record it and then put it through. Have you ever seen those Alex Jones videos where they make it look like it was on Sega CD or like PlayStation 1? They like render it down. That's what you need to do. Is you need a conspiracy podcast where it's like coming to you from the bunker, and you do Alex Jones's voice, of course. On your, please insert disc 2 now to get the second part of the story. Update your memory card.
My uncle actually, he's went out. Where's he located now? Where's the place? I think it's like somewhere in like it's by Connecticut, but like I forget the name of the place.
New Hampshire.
Yep. He
Nice.
in New Hampshire. He has like a bunker and everything. Like he went real deep on the COVID stuff, but he's a very wealthy businessman. That's like, but he like turned his back on a lot of, politicians and shit. He's just, the whole COVID thing really set him off, and he's like, rather be safe than sorry. And he's in the bunker now. I don't think he's there like all the time, but he has, just in case shit ever really hits the fan, he has like food, able to hunt. He has his like own land and everything.
Did you ever watch any of those documentaries about Y2K bunkers? There was a guy who had one that was like 20 buses over top of a bunker that had like a mall, and he was paying for like a dentist and a doctor and for people to fill out the stores, and then like nothing happened. I'm not sure if this is it, but one of the guys who was in a bus bunker came out 14 years after Y2K.
Wait. So he was living in the bunker for 14 years?
Okay, this people say it was satirical. Well done, Canadian funny people. Take that up, rocks. I don't know now, but there was a guy who had a bus. Like they didn't this isn't the same guy. They did an interview with this guy, and the like protective layer of his bunker was a bunch of buses, and then underground he had procured this huge like place where I think it was like a couple thousand people could live, and he had like, he fleshed out business centers, like a little mall, and he had like a doctor's office, and he had like the grocery store and stuff. It wasn't filled with people yet, but he was going to pay people to come down there because he was like some millionaire of some kind, and that's basically what I think you should do.
Just get the bunker. Hey, my thing is, even honestly, even if like shit doesn't hit the fan, I'm not saying like a bunker, but I mean, it makes sense to like learn like gardening and like, if you think about it, almost no people have a relationship with the food that they eat today. Like almost no one, myself included. So I'm not saying that I'm like, I'm some like person that's, holier than thou, and I like farm and do my shit. No, I eat a lot of garbage too, but I'm saying,
this is another movie. Sorry, this is another movie from 2013 that was like, for some reason, Kid Cudi's in it. Adrian Grenier, who's great. World goes south. They live on a farm, and they got a bunker and stuff, and then some stuff happens. This one's better than the other one, I think, but it is very also predictive of what sort of happens now. Power goes out, cyber attack, I think it was, and all of a sudden people want your food, but he is pretty prepared for it. And then it sort of turns into a different type of movie where they've got like internal problems. But this one woman there, the one that was sitting next to Vinny Chase, works for the government, and it was pretty interesting. Might want to watch that one too.
See, I mean,
my algorithm's good right now.
You'll get your shit censored real soon again.
It's been censored for so long. What are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, it's really annoying how like people can't just agree that censorship is not a good thing, no matter what the idea is, no matter I think the only time there's one time that I think everyone should agree to censor, and that's like child porn. But other than that, I think everything else should be fair game. Like that's just, I mean, eventually we're all going to be censored, which we've seen. We've seen it come full circle, and you know, it starts with and even if it's shit that I like completely disagree with, I think it should be fair game
for sure.
besides child porn.
It starts with OnlyFans, you guys. Touch on this before we leave. I just thought this was funny. I wrote about this, and funny in a bad way. This girl's a UFC fighter, and she just wants to twerk in the cage all the time whenever she wins. She did it in a weigh-in. She did it after 2 wins. And then the last time she did it, she's like, "Oh, I made 30 grand on OnlyFans the next day."
She has an OnlyFans.
Yeah, and then the most brutal part about it, Rob, is that her small boy, is in the audience.
Oh my God!
The UFC cuts to him as she's doing it.
Oh my God!
All right, some would say it's too early on a Saturday in Las Vegas for that move.
And I just think it's such a bad spot when this woman who's like, you know, whether you agree with women fighting or not, she's out there, she's won a couple fights, and then what does she want to do with her fame? She's like, I want to advance my pornography career in front of my 10-year-old.
Yeah,
and therefore, but also it's art. She's like, it's not porn, it's art. She's saying this through like an interpreter.
Is she is she posting porn on her OnlyFans, or is it just like? So here's the thing. There's like, I've seen girls like you know, they make the argument where like they don't have to bang anyone. They're literally just, if you think like, I'm pretty sure some of them just, they just show like hot pictures of them in like bikinis and shit, and horny dudes just like pay them a shit ton.
Yeah, but if you want to go through the route of it's the old, remember when you used to hear in like the 90s, people would say, I would do Playboy if it was tasteful. It's still for men to masturbate to.
Yeah, 100%. But here's the thing though, and this is where I guess I lean liberal, is I think that if you're working a 9 to 5, you're selling your soul to someone. And a lot of these girls, they don't have to bang anyone, and they're making more than what. Again, a lot of these girls fail. Like a lot of these girls don't make a lot of money, but for the ones that do, that do, like, I know there's some that make a shit ton. Like they make like 6 digits in a month, some 7 digits, and it's like, if you think about that, there's people that hate their freaking life, grind like all week at a job for a boss that they don't like. Is that not selling your soul? Like, is that not, you know, like, okay, so no one has your naked pictures, but it's like,
that's a big thing. That's a big difference.
Dude, but here's the thing though. It's like, I don't get, like, me personally, I wouldn't care if I was making 7 digits a month, 6-7 digits a month, and some stranger saw my dick. I'll do it. I'm jealous of the girls that are making 6-7 digits for just showing their tits, as long as they're not banging people that they don't want to bang. Like, I
think one of the main problems people have with it is this is what women are aspiring to, and they're not considering the consequences of. I mean, I don't see the husband anywhere in these girls' stuff. They're not going to be fulfilled doing this. Now, maybe Rob's OnlyFans, where his feet and his ass are out, it will fulfill him, and maybe that's what he wants to do. But there's no girl who's just Silence of the Lambs. But there's no girl who, like, this is what she wants. She's gonna become 35, and she's gonna realize that you can.
Can I flip that on you and say no dude wants to work for a corporation his whole life? Well, like, to be a slave to a boss. Well, like, it's like.
But is that gonna end in him being undesirable for any other job or even a woman?
You might not desire it, but I'm sure there's dudes out there. Like, I'm sure there's dudes out there, as long as they're not like, if she's banging a new dude every day, yeah, maybe that's undesirable. But me personally, if if the person was just like showing their boobs and to some horny weirdos that they'll never meet in real life, and they never banged anyone else, and she's making 6-7 digits.
Can we have you back on to debate somebody about this?
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, I'll try to find somebody. What if it's Bryson Gray?
Yeah, let's go. I'd gladly do it.
Hewey.media.feetfinder.com is where you'll find the rest of it.
That's right, baby.
Thanks for coming on, Rob. UOPod.com. Thanks to everybody who listened. Sign up for the Patreon, patreon.com/UOPod. Disclaimer coming due to sick individuals like him. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. Yeah, if you're a girl and you're killing it on OnlyFans, I'm jealous.
What would...
As long as you're not
Yeezus
banging like
do?
a new dude every day.
Okay, asterisks.
If you're just like showing your boobs and like you don't have to do anything other than that, and you're making like pretty good money, I think any person with common sense would do that.
He's putting a Houston Astros asterisk on this one, you guys.
Yeah, it is.
Turn it up, Jordan.